Hello, this is Richard Simon Kahn of Golden Sun Astrology at the Crystal Matrix, and we're looking at November. Let's take a kind of an overview of the weather forecast, astrologically speaking, for what we can expect in November. And of course, by this time, the sun, as many of you may know, the sun has moved into Scorpio. So the sun is in a water sign. Scorpio is a very deep sign, very probing and revealing of the inner depths of our psyche. And so we may be feeling a lot of stuff stirring beneath the surface. This is natural. This is part of what happens when the sun shifts into a sign like Scorpio. And so it's an opportunity for us to kind of do some inner work, to get a little deeper in our own consciousness, understand what's going on within us, evaluate how we're interacting with others, and especially to become aware of those things where there might be some little bumps in the road, where there's a little bit of distrust or a little bit of suspicion or maybe self-doubt. But to look at those things and then find out, okay, what's really behind it? Take the opportunity to be introspective and to really be honest, because Scorpio is ruled by the planet Pluto, and Pluto likes to get to the bottom of things. Pluto likes to peel away all the fluff on the surface and to know what really is motivating, what's really pushing our buttons, and what's really motivating us. And so that's very helpful to us to know what pushes our buttons and what is driving us, and also to recognize in others how that may be affecting them, so that we don't get pushed, our buttons don't get pushed by them so much. So the tone was, we've had the sun is in Scorpio right now, we have Mercury's in Scorpio until November 12th, and also Mars is in Capricorn until November 8th, and it's been working with Pluto very strongly, and these have been in very sympathetic, Mars and Pluto have been in very sympathetic aspects to the sun and to the Scorpio energy. And so this energy has just been flowing. We may feel that there's a bit of heaviness involved there because Pluto brings up deep stuff, and with the sun moving into Scorpio, it's kind of like the light of illumination is saying, okay, time to take a look. What do we have in the basement? What do we have stored down there that we haven't really addressed? And that it's time to do a little bit of cleaning, seeing what we can let go of. It's a wonderful time. We're into the fall season now, and so we're harvesting. We're collecting the fruits of our actions. We're deciding what we're going to keep and what we can let go of. What needs to be passed on and allowed to go back into the ground in order to refertilize the earth and refertilize our lives. And so this is part of the energy of this time. You may be feeling this as kind of a heaviness. There's a lot of intensity going on. Scorpio is an intense sign. Pluto is intense. These aspects are going on. And so, and then especially with all the election stuff, this is bringing up tons of submerged consciousness, things that have been repressed nationally and things that have been repressed maybe individually, and it's just being kind of like splattered all over the news, right? It's just got a charge to it, and that's part of the work. That's part of the work that we have, that we're being called to collectively and individually. So this energy is there, and I know for a lot of us, we've had it up to here, and in a way you don't want to hear anymore. You don't want to engage with it, and so fortunately, the election's November 8th, and then following that, whatever the results are on November 12th, we're gonna feel a shift. There's going to be a significant energetic shift that happens. It's not just because the election's over, although that will give us a collective sigh of relief for the most part, that at least we won't be getting bombarded with all this stuff. But Jupiter is going to be giving a boost. Jupiter is going to be making aspects to Saturn, which is in the sign Sagittarius, and to Pluto in Capricorn, and to Chiron in Pisces. And so Jupiter brings us energy of expansion. It brings new opportunities. It helps us take a fresh look at things. And Jupiter is about learning. Jupiter is opening up information for us to be able to look at the circumstances and to learn some things from this. And that's going to help us to stabilize. That's going to help us to see what kind of changes we may need to make in our lives, what kind of changes we may need to make in our social situations and in our government organizations, in our work organizations. And so this will be especially brought into focus by the full moon on November 14th. The moon will be in Taurus, opposite the sun in Scorpio, and so we're on the money and power axis here. It's bringing out a lot of deep stuff, a lot of power issues, and giving us a chance to kind of recalibrate after all of this turmoil that we've been going through for months. It's going to be an opportunity to recalibrate and to get our balance again and see where we really are and how we're using our power, so that we can make sure that it's productive, that it's being used in ways that are going to be beneficial to us and to others. Another thing is it's going to help us to see how we're motivated so that we can take actions that are going to be beneficial for ourselves and others. And then the election itself, I'd like to comment on that. It would be misplaced of me not to say something, but I've been looking at a couple of different websites, and there's one astrologer in particular. This isn't my specialty, is doing predictions, so I'm just passing along some information that I feel is very credible. But this one astrologer in particular, whose name I can't remember, but she's got a 100% prediction record from 1992. She has accurately called the winners of the presidential elections for every 4 years since 1992. And she uses a couple of different methods for analyzing the charts of the candidates. And so what her predictions are right now is that the election itself, she looks at the election day charts, and then she also looks at the inauguration day charts, because that's a significant, both of those days are very significant for the candidates. And so she said in the election day charts that it looks like Hillary will win the election, but it's going to be very close, and there's going to be a lot of controversy following the election. This isn't going to be like a clear-cut thing at all. There's going to be a lot of controversy and fallout from this for the week or so after the election. But Hillary will win. That's her prediction for that, based on looking at Hillary's chart versus Trump's chart. And then on the inaugural day charts, she said very clearly Hillary is receiving elevation, astrologically speaking, and Trump's chart is not showing anything. And so that's a pretty good indicator of the direction that things are going to go. But of course, these are just predictions, and who knows? Maybe the universe has some other curveballs, but stay tuned. But that's from a pretty reputable astrologer. So if that's of any help to you, any consolation, maybe you could get a little more sleep and not worry about it so much. That's what it looks like is happening. And so then later in the month, this month, one of the things that's interesting about November is taking all the energies of the planets and adding them up by the elements that are predominant and the modes that are predominant. This month ends up being ruled by Saturn. Saturn is in the sign Sagittarius, which is a fire sign. And with Saturn in Sagittarius, and it's going to be there, it's been there for a while, it's going to continue to be there. And in particular, Saturn is asking us to look at what our beliefs are, what our principles are, what our ideas are that we found our principles on, and that we create our philosophy, our worldview. And so Saturn kind of says, okay, you need to pay attention here. This is a time while Saturn is transiting through the sign Sagittarius to really look at what you believe and to understand what your thought processes are in connection with that, how you arrived at the beliefs that you have, and whether those are actually valid, are they realistic, are they true, and to recalibrate things, to make adjustments, to see what really works and what is maybe ideas that we've had in mind that that we've absorbed from our environment, from our training, our people we've known, the conditions that we've been conditioned to. Taking a look at those and sorting some of those out and realizing, oh, you know what, this really doesn't work. I don't really believe that. That's just something that's been in there. And so Saturn is bringing this energy in. The circumstances of our existence are bringing us opportunities to look at those things and see where we can recalibrate how we look at life, what our view of life is, what our view and understanding of ourselves in relation to our life is. And therefore we can make some changes, we can grow, and it's kind of a serious energy, but at the same time it also gives us a sense of freedom. If we use that energy to look at ourselves, it brings us freedom, and that allows us to really expand and to understand more of what's going on around us, of why things are the way they are. And so that's an energy that's been at work for a number of months, and it's going to continue. But particularly in this month of November, we're in Scorpio, so it's water sign. It's about our feelings. We're dealing first with our own feelings about things, and then later in the month the sun goes into Sagittarius on, I think, the 22nd or the 23rd. I'm not sure right now, sorry. But the sun will be going into Sagittarius in the later part of the month, and that's a fire sign, and it brings out the inspiration. It gives us more of a feeling for spirit and for attuning ourselves with spirit, and the work that we've done helps us move forward into that and to be able to receive that and to act out of that consciousness. And so that's the basic opportunity, the basic feel of the weather for what we can be looking for in November. And I hope this is helpful to you. And we'll be back next month with another forecast for December. Have a great one.